Thank you all for coming in. And I suppose just from listening for the last few weeks, we've had loads of different road users in, and so cyclists we'd say cyclists, motorcyclists, yourselves, you're all really skilled drivers, motorcyclists and yourselves would all be very skilled drivers. And so to me, it's not, we all have equal, we should be all sharing the road, and it seems to me that the cars are the problem, that it's, and enforcement is the problem. And definitely the RSA, it's come up over and over again that the problems within the RSA, and it's maybe that their brief is too big, that there's not, they're not willing to change that to the times. And I mean, you've all come up with this, that, so a suggestion did come up a few weeks ago at one of the other committee meetings that it would be that the RSA, even I suppose the Independent Commission report, that wasn't adhered to. It wasn't, the recommendations weren't listened to, even though the officials in the department wanted it to, to be split. But what would you think of an idea of having an ombudsman for road safety? That road safety, and even including, Thomas, we'll say road safety or safety at work would be part of that. To have it completely outside, and it would be an oversight looking at road safety. And I'm just wondering if any of you have any thoughts on that. Particularly around road safety, take out, we'll say, car testing, take out all that, but it's looking at every road user, that there's an oversight, really, on the RSA.
That would be an excellent idea if the powers, the remit of such a body was extensive enough to cover all aspects, like the infrastructure. I was delayed getting here this morning. Harrington Street bus line, Camden Street bus line, but the bus was stuck at the junction for 4 changes of lights, because when that junction was designed, there was no yellow box junction put in. The bus can't make the turn like a car, so it needs a yellow box junction, otherwise the traffic blocks its path. And everyone else gets frustrated because the traffic is held up, because the bus can't go from bus line to bus line. It's simple stuff like that.
And
I could sit here all day and give you hundreds of examples of junctions, footpaths, roads across the city and across Ireland where these problems are inherent in the design, because there's no input of the professionals, the truck drivers and the bus drivers, who could tell you off the top of their head what needs to be done. And it's not expensive. How much was it cost to paint the yellow box junction?
And I think that has come up the last few weeks as well, that there's no input from users like yourself, road users like yourself, and other countries. We heard from motorcyclists last week saying that Europe, they're actually feeding information to Europe, whereas the RSA are not giving them a space to be listened to here at all. They're not taking on anything on board. And I suppose, Larry, you said as well about design. I live in Sligo, and so I can see the active travel, and I'm a cyclist as well, so I can see active travel that you want to have cycle lanes, but they're just fired in with very little thought or very little input, I suppose, that from people like yourselves about using. And again, the RSA, it's come up, and I don't know if you know anything more about this, about that, saying the RSA aren't sharing information with the local authorities around, like what you said, Eugene, about, didn't you say in your opening statement about responsibility? There's certain information being shared, but there's not full information around that, so that local authorities' engineering staff will be able to adjust accordingly to the information that has come in. Would you have any experience around that?
What I probably said was that more qualitative data is
yes.
as well.
Yeah.
It's statistical data, but it's not qualitative. That's more or less what we're saying. And as regards an ombudsman, I don't think it would need to go that far. The RSA is an authority, and as such have good powers and should be able to hit the county councils. And what Paul just outlined and what they did in Waterford, for you as cyclists, in country roads in particular, it's sight and sight distance. And if there's a high hedgerow, though it might be very nice outside in the state, but if it's blocking sight distance and potential for accident, then it should be chopped.
And it's affecting everyone.
Yeah, it should be seen. And vision. And they should have the power to say to the county council, or goals set for them, quotas set for them. If there are more than 10 accidents in one road or more than 3 accidents in one road, why, when, and when will it be remedied? And have the power.
And that's fed into the county council.
And Eugene, if you go back to the RSA ad, 70 to 80% of the fatalities are on the rural roads, and that's an RSA statistic. And they had the ad there where the tractor, you heard it on the radio, where your man meets, the driver meets the tractor. It says in it, you never know what's coming. There's the problem. And if this committee just came out and said, right, we're going to attack the rural roads, we're going to fund the local authority to take out the hedgerows, remove the trees, especially on the bends, and get rid of that blind bend aspect that is contributing so much to so many incidents. In my mind, and I can give examples, but I won't here now, but you never know what's coming. That's what the RSA are stating in their ad. That's the problem with the roads. You're driving blind on these rural roads.
So there's a lot, so there's issues around safety there, about it, structural, I suppose there's infrastructure deficits, but also about education and policing, I suppose, like even enforcement. We can see there's not enough guards on the road. There's definitely not enough guards checking roads. But Thomas, can I ask you about the transport police? Would you, like loads of countries have this, that they've got a dedicated transport police force, and is there any moves to that? Like, I know like, that they'd actually be trained as part of the police. Would that be how you'd see it?
No, but the training of them should be done. There should be cognizance taken of the bylaws. So there's a whole set of bylaws for Dublin Bus and Bus Ireland.
Right.
There's the Railway Safety Act for In-Road Ireland. They'd have to be trained up on all that. Obviously, basics of law. Right? So if they're going to be empowered, which is necessary for caution detention and to detain someone until An Garda Síochána come, they'd have to have some sort of training in relation to that. Like, and we've spoken to An Garda Síochána about that. Like, An Garda Síochána would rather someone that's well trained, because when it comes to court, if they have a security guard in a corner shop, for instance, they don't want to come to court. But if a well trained security force, they have all the details down, be able to appear in court, and there'll be convictions against people who cause this antisocial behaviour. And it's the public convictions. There was one up in the north of the country, 2.5 years with 6 months suspended in the last couple of weeks. That sends out a positive message that you can't be attacking frontline workers, especially frontline transport workers.
So the guards are in agreement with this? They've been in agreement with it? Great. And Larry, can I just ask you about, like, surely you'd imagine, was it you, Thomas, or Larry said about having the screens for drivers? Like, how is that not being listened to? How have you've obviously raised this as a safety of work?
We've raised the coaches are bought in the main from Europe, Spain being one of the predominant countries. They're not manufactured with security screens. You can't retrofit a security screen, because then the bus won't be certified. Invalidate the warranty. It won't be certified from a safety point of view because of glare. So everyone's saying, no, we can't do this, we can't do that. But the bottom line is the workers are going out day in, day out in Bus Ireland without the protections of a security screen. And we are getting, since COVID, for whatever reason, I can't explain it, the attacks have become more vicious and more violent, and we've had people with fractured skulls and horrendous injuries perpetrated on them by these people.
I think the NTA need to be questioned over the screens, because we've raised this regularly in Bus Ireland, and to say the NTA are buying these buses and there's no collaboration with the unions or the workers or anything. So this.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. Just moving along, I received a communication